everyone. Welcome to Ramblings from the Directors. We're here, episode 5, 4. I've lost track. Quarantine brain has got me all sorts of messed up right now. But I'm Williams, your hostess with not the mostest. But I try real hard. We got Finn here. We got Kaylin. Wave and say hi to the people for the video. For the audio, they're not going to see anything, but that's okay. And we have a very special guest with us today. We are incredibly excited to have this guest, Ms. Bailey Dorr, who is just crushing it on all things social media. We'll talk about that in a little bit, talk about her journey. But we're incredibly excited to have you, Bailey. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the fine listening audience.
Hi, I'm Bailey Dorr, and my social media started kind of on Facebook called Quarantine Theater.
Awesome. So Quarantine Theater, talk to me a little bit about how did you get started with Quarantine Theater? I mean, obviously the pandemic happened, so
yeah.
But what kind of gave you the idea to start with this idea that's really blown up?
Well, me and my friends were just getting really bored during quarantine, and so just one day we just started playing around, and we decided to have a little talent show contest. And so I dressed up and I sang a song from Mean Girls, and my mom heard me and she goes, "Hey, that's really good. Maybe we could post that on Facebook. That sounds like something that everyone would like to see." And so we posted that one, and it kind of blew up from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Mean Girls was the first one, eh?
Yeah.
What was the song?
It was Meet the Plastics,
okay.
And I had 3 different outfits on. So I kind of just.
It. Oh my god, I love it so much. Oh my gosh.
As you can tell, Caitlin's kind of a Mean Girls fan.
Me too.
A little bit.
So it started with Mean Girls, and then kind of blossomed from there, right? I mean,
yeah.
Kind of boomed and exploded. Now, did this kind of stem into, I know you're involved in a contest right now, right?
Yes, I am.
Did this kind of did that contest stem from the Quarantine Theater, or was it vice versa, or how did you get involved with that?
Yeah, it kind of stemmed from Quarantine Theater. As you know, I love theater and Broadway, and so I follow Broadway World on Instagram, and I saw they posted about this contest, and I was like, might as well give it a shot. So that's how it kind of got started.
Nice. And now you're heading into round 3, right?
Yeah. Last round I was the judge's save. And yeah, I was a little sad at first. I didn't make the top 15. And then I found out that I was saved. And it's been crazy.
So what that means then is that we as your people, we need to get the vote out there. So
yes.
For round 3, we're voting. That's everyone.
Period.
Yeah.
I hear if you don't vote, then
you get hair on your palms.
What?
Do you not get that reference? Please tell me you get that joke, William.
I don't, Finn. I'm real tired. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Should I explain the joke and then you cut it out?
Nope. We're just gonna keep rolling. We'll explain. You can explain it to me when I'm older.
Check the chat.
That's so funny.
Regardless of all that, make sure you're voting. We'll put the link down in the description for all that stuff. So, Ben, did you have any questions? Or you had a question or two? It gets boring if it's just me talking.
Yeah, I have a list. What was the first ever show that you did?
First ever show that I did. My first ever show was at Des Moines Young Artist Theater, and it was High School Musical Junior, and I was the Brainiac. And actually, in this competition, you get $1,000 to donate to a charity of your choice. And so my charity is Des Moines Young Artist Theater, and so I would donate the money there.
Nice. What drew you to Des Moines Young Artist Theater as both as it being one of your first shows, but also as your kind of charity of choice?
Well, before I got into theater, I was very self-conscious, and just theater gave me so much more confidence in myself, and just I met so many friends through Des Moines Young Arts Theater. And unfortunately, they're having some financial troubles right now, and they might be having to close their doors. So I just really want to give back to them what they gave to me.
I like that. I like that a lot. Y'all, if you do not go vote, not only will you get hair on your palms, apparently, I'll come find you.
Look
I'll
it
come
up.
find you.
Look it up. Look up
And
the
I
term
will,
hair on
with
the
a
palm.
mask on, because wear your mask, people. But I'll come find you, and I will have a strongly worded email for you. That's about the extent of my skill set.
You'll find them just be like, check your email. Like,
Yeah, it's just that. Just check your email. Just that.
man, wash your hands.
We do it at the end. We do it at the end.
I love Des Moines Young Artist Theater. Is that the only show you've been involved with, High School Musical Junior, or have you done other shows with Des Moines Young Artists too?
I've done other shows. I was Kate in Legally Blonde Junior, and I was just Lucy in 13, which I was nominated for a Chloris Award for.
Ooh, nice.
That's dope.
Thank you.
I love the mission of Des Moines Young Artists, y'all. If you haven't checked out Des Moines Young Artists Theater, do so. They create so many great opportunities for young performers. It's ridiculous, the amount and the quality of work they do. So if you haven't checked them out, do so. They do fantastic work. Caitlin, what about you? What you got? We're still finding our flow, y'all. We're still finding our flow.
It's gonna take a minute.
We're finding that juice, you know.
I guess a good question I got. What is your favorite character you've ever played in any show?
In any show? Probably Lucy in 13. That character's just not like me at all, so it's fun to kind of just let loose and really just be a mean girl.
Yes, I understand. I mean, I almost understood. Because, you know, I was almost Velma in Your Afraid Lincoln. COVID-19 took it away, so that sucks. But I was ready to be a mean girl, but it happens. Yeah, no. I've always wanted to play a mean girl in some way, shape, or form. So, like, oh my God, that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
Perspective though, Caitlin. Perspective though, like we got this podcast out of COVID-19 pandemic quarantine. We got Bailey's quarantine theater out of this quarantine thing. Maybe the podcast is just where you're the mean girl. You'll just be the mean one. There you go.
God. Ugh. I'll just act like a major B word this whole, like, the rest of the podcast we do. I'm just like,
Rich, you can say it. We're not monetized yet.
Oh, true.
You can
just
say
because we can doesn't mean we should.
We should.
That's exactly what it means. It means
You'll find Finn's kind of our loose cannon of the group, where he's all over the place. He means all well.
That's great.
Oh, goodness. So, kind of talk to me a little bit about like how, so obviously referencing the news article. I mean, this thing was blowing up, kind of bouncing back and forth. Like, how was that process? How did they reach out to you? Things like that?
Well, I was featured on the news as just like, not even a segment, just like a little clip of like a feel-good story, kind of.
Right.
And after that, that's when someone reached out to me about wanting to do a story. And so it was pretty interesting, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's always weird. We've had a couple news people come, and it's always weird to interact with them because you see them on TV and you're like, I mean, not different, I don't want to say, but it's the person as opposed to the figure. So it's just kind of like, oh, you're actually like really nice. Like, not that you aren't nice on the news, but like you're really nice and personable. And
yeah, and it was so funny. It was even a little weirder doing it on a computer and not being able to like really. words. Really talk to them face to face, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
William,
go ahead, Finn.
do you remember when you called me out of my English class to come direct the news guy that came? For the, you
I
pulled me
do.
out of my English class.
I mean, I don't remember me calling you out. I think you were on a
Like 2 days off of that
pass.
class.
I think you were on a pass, and you just came to my room.
No, I was just skipping, and then I was skipping, and you said, "Hey, want to direct this scene for us?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Just email my teacher. So I didn't get in trouble because he emailed my teacher and said I was doing stuff in there. So, in a way, you did pull me out of my class because I was going to go back.
Don't skip class.
Don't
moral of
skip
this story.
class. I can say now, as a graduate of Lincoln High School, I never once skipped class in high school. I'm proud of this.
That's a lie.
What?
No,
That's
I don't think that's a lie. I'm pretty sure
That's a lie. I think that's a lie.
You know what?
I'm pretty sure I have
you
seen
don't know me.
Caitlin.
You don't know me. I'm just kidding.
Caitlin switches to the mean one right now.
You don't know me. You don't know my story. You know my name. I hate it. I'm coming
dear
back.
gosh.
Caitlin's here.
Um,
But yeah, no, I've never skipped, Finn. I swear on it.
yeah, I kind of wish you hadn't said
Alright.
skipped.
I've made friends mad because they've been like, let's skip. And I'm like, I don't. And I've never skipped. I'm proud of this. I'm so proud of this.
I have skipped entire days. I've skipped entire days where I've just gone to Central for fun. In my defense, hold on. In my defense, I have a 3.5 GPA right now and A's in the majority of my classes.
Well,
So I don't think it matters.
Okay, we're just gonna gloss over that, we're just gonna move on. You're listening to Ramblings from the Director, available on YouTube, on the Lincoln YouTube Theater Arts channel. We're also on Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, podcasts, all those other ones too. If you're listening to this, you know where you can find us. We're going to take a short mini break, and then we'll get back to talking more with our guest, Bailey Dorr, about her quarantine theater and just kind of things in general. We'll be right back. Are you looking to make your own podcast? Wondering what service you could use to make your podcast super easy and super efficient? Well, let me tell you, try the Anchor app. You haven't heard about Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free, which is my favorite F word. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your own podcast from your phone or your computer. It's that easy. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and even the Anchor app itself. The cool thing is you can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I mean, you could have one person listening and you'd still be making that green. So if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure you're going to the Anchor app. You can get it on Google Play or in the Apple Store, or you can get it on the internet. Download it now. It's a great tool.
And we're back.
Segue King right there. Finn Norton for you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. You're listening or watching, one of the two, hopefully both, at the same time. You're listening to and watching Ramblings from the Directors. Again, we're with our special guest, Bailey Dorr, who is crushing quarantine theater, as well as hopefully moving on in the Broadway World Cup. Now, what's the official contest name, Bailey?
Broadway World's Next on Stage.
Love it. Broadway World, Next on Stage. So moving into round 3, we're going to show her some love, or I'm coming for you, my mask on. Listener or viewer. So cool. We're just kind of chatting with Bailey, getting to know her a little bit, and in the whole 411. Is that still a word y'all use? I don't know. It was when I was in high school.
No, I don't
Huh?
think we do in time.
What?
Okay, that's lit.
I can't.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, Finn, I need you to be your Segway king.
What are we segueing to?
Your question.
Oh, okay.
And we're back again.
So smooth. I can't. This is smooth like crunchy peanut butter. Like, come on.
I think that's what makes it authentic, though, too, is we're going to leave all this in.
Okay, so Williams, what
God.
was the phrase that you always used in high school? Okay, so anyway, basically, what made you want to become a performer?
Well, the first show I ever saw at the Civic Center was Legally Blonde. And just from that moment, I kind of knew that I wanted to be up there and that I wanted to be one of them and do that for the rest of my life.
What's your ultimate goal? Like, what's your end game?
Well, I would love to be on Broadway, but I would be fine doing anything that involves acting or singing.
Cool. That's all I got.
That's it. That's the main.
We're so
main
good
thing.
at this. Oh my god.
We're gonna win a Webby Award next month.
We're so professional. I don't know.
What's
if
the
anyone knew
What's the
this.
award
We're
from
so
iCarly?
professional.
Oh my god.
Do you remember that when they go to like Japan? What's the award?
Oh my god.
What?
Do you remember there was like a special for iCarly? They went to Japan. It was like an hour-long thing. Yeah. What's the award called?
There was evil twins like trying to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were going for an award show. What was the award called? I'm gonna look this up. You can edit this out. I don't care. I gotta figure this out.
I could, but I'm not going to.
iCarly go to Japan. Okay.
Are you sure it's?
It's called I Go to Japan. Carly, Sam, and Freddie kick off their adventure in Japan on a tin can on a plane pack that doesn't give me what I want. What was the word called?
Well, then Google better.
Oh.
I mean, simple solution. Not finding what I.
Award. The iWeb Award. We're going to win an iWeb Award. That joke was not worth all the effort I just put into figuring it out.
But it was fun to see you struggle a little bit.
Was it? Was it?
I think so.
Yes, it was.
Oh, dude, the things we do for views. Holy goodness. Speaking of which, though, again, Segway King. I'm learning from you, Finn. I'd love to like talk just a little bit, and this is just kind of for everyone too. But like, with quarantine theater, Bailey, kind of it hit this boom on social media on Facebook. What kind of role do you think social media has in terms of performers and using that as a tool, but also as from the perspective of a teenager as well? I mean, how prominent is social media within y'all's lives?
Yeah, social media is very prominent in our lives. I'm gonna say, and just I thought it was a positive aspect of this was it just brought a lot of people together, and it just made me so happy that I could make people happy for just a few minutes, and that I could just give them something to take their minds off of the news and of coronavirus and just just something huge.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's always the cool part too, is you never know. You never know when you start something, like maybe this will be big, maybe it won't. And then watching it kind of blossom into what it has and what it is really cool. How about like, I guess as someone that's older, like social media I'm still figuring out.
Yeah.
Like, I was excited. I'm like, we got 100 YouTube subscribers. And everyone's just like, okay, old man.
It's the little things, though. It's so valid. Like, it's just, yeah, it's the little things. And then, you know, if and when they bloom into something more, it becomes much more like, whoa, I was excited for 100. Now I got 1,000. And now I'm at 10,000. It's just like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's the little things at first.
Do you all think, and this is for everyone too, like, do you all think that the society we live in now is driven by that social media impact?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes.
Elaborate.
Me?
Sure.
Well, I definitely know there are people who like determine their self-worth off of how many Instagram followers they have. And I say sometimes because there are also some people like me and some people I know. I don't care. Like, I don't care how many people like my post. I don't care how many people follow me. I post it because I want to post. If you want to like it, cool. If you don't, doesn't bother me. So I look at it as just a way for me to tell people, hey, I like this. Hopefully you like this too. But there's definitely a lot of people who will determine their entire self-worth on how many likes a picture gets on Instagram or how many replies they get when they do something on Snapchat. A lot of people will determine their self-worth, and that's where social media can become dangerous. Because, you know, someone will be like, oh, I only have 500 followers, but my friend has 700 followers, so I guess I'm not as good as my friend. And it has driven people to do things that social media shouldn't drive people to do.
yes, I think another thing with social media is it can make people jealous really easily, and it can like when you see other people doing all these fun and amazing things, you start to get down on yourself. But you really just need to think about it. It's like social media is only the good things. No one's posting the bad things that are happening to them. No one's posting the like mediocre things. They're only posting the best of the best, and that can get to people sometimes.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point of like, it's almost like window shopping a little bit in terms of here's the highlights, here's the main parts of the things I want you to see, and not see the not so nice things. I do have to ask, because this is a question that has been burning in my brain, and for you all, for young people in general. So this like, especially on like Instagram, I think of like culture. So doing the little like buttons and you just double tap and all that stuff. I know that much about Instagram. Learned. But my question then becomes like, do you actually look at the post? Like, I'm one of those where I won't like things unless I really do like them. And I read through them. I'm like, oh, this is good. So my question is, do you actually read through them, or are you one of those? Because I've seen it in classes before, where people just scroll, double tap, scroll, double tap, scroll, double tap, scroll, double tap.
I'm guilty of that. Like I just see my friends, and I'm like, look at them living their best life, looking beautiful, having fun. I'm just like, double tap. I like don't look through all the pictures either. I'm just like, you go, girl. Yes. Oh my god. And I'm just like, keep going. Yeah, I'm completely guilty of that. It's just, I don't know. I'm like programmed. I'm like a robot. I just like, I'm scrolling and I'm like, but like now I'm reading stuff more and it's like, maybe I shouldn't like that. Yeah, I don't.
Oh my gosh, me too. There will be a couple times where I'll catch myself and I'm like, wait a minute, what did that last one say? Oh, no, never mind. Take my legs out.
Oh, don't know if I agree with that one. I'm just, okay, yep. Nope, didn't like it, even though they got the notification.
Which is funny, because like every so often I'll post like serious stuff on there, and people will like it. And I'm like, what? Why? Like, oh, here's this really sad story. It gets like 25 likes, and I'm like, what? Y'all didn't read this. Y'all didn't read what it said.
Well, Well, I think then it becomes like, well, I think it's just people wanting to acknowledge that they like see what you post and they like it in terms of like they don't like the content. Like if it's sad, that's why with Facebook I love how they have all the different emotions. Because I like at first I felt weird liking a post that was like my dog died, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. But at the same time, like I'm showing my like in support of like if they need something, like I don't know. I feel like I'm probably thinking too deeply about it, but when I like sad posts like that, I don't consider like necessarily like, yeah, it's sad, I'm not gonna like it. I think of it as, oh, it's sad, I want to like it, show them that like I see the post and that I want to support them, and if they need something, I liked it, like reach out, like.
So what you're saying is, Caitlin, is that Instagram needs to have more reaction buttons.
Yes. Oh
my
gosh.
You heard it here first, folks. Instagram.
I'm the opposite. I never like posts. I'm on Instagram a lot, but I will rarely like posts. I'll like posts if Lincoln Theater Arts posts one, or if like Caitlin posts one, it's like with people I know. But like, I saw a post that the New England Patriots made today. I didn't look at it. I didn't like it. I just scrolled right by. And I'm a diehard Patriots fan. I really will just look, and if something catches my eye, I'll like it. But it's very rarely that I like a post. So like, I've had Instagram for like 3-4 years now. But if you go into like my like posts, there's probably only like 500 things in there over the course of 3-4 years.
Cool. I mean, it's probably a good thing you didn't like that New England Patriots post. It's probably just them crying about something.
What was it?
I don't know.
Don't come for my neck, Williams. You don't want to get into this New England Patriots argument with me right now. The accent will come out. We will have a problem.
I do, because you don't have Tom Brady, nor do you have Gronk anymore, so you will get no more rings.
Yeah, but we have Julian Edelman. All right? We have Julian Edelman now.
And who's going to throw to him? Bill Belichick isn't going to come out onto the field and just...
Me not knowing sports, I'm just like, oh. Me not knowing sports, I'm just like, wow.
Bye, Finn.
Wow.
All right, now that Finn's gone, we can really get going on these
Yeah, really? Oh, he like left. That's crazy.
Yeah, he like peaced out. He'll be back maybe in a minute.
We'll see. Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Again, you're listening to ramblings from the director, minus Finn right now. But we got our special guest Bailey Dorr on here, talking about theater, talking about social media in general. Do you think that there he's back now? Do you think that social media puts any pressure on you all as young people? I mean, because I say that from the standpoint of it's what you've known your entire lives. Like, social media has been around pretty much your entire lives, whereas older generations, like I remember a time when there wasn't Facebook or MySpace or other apps that you probably won't even know.
I would say so. Like, I'm extremely picky about what I post, because like with a singing video, I am extremely so critical about myself. Like, I want to make sure it is perfect before I post it, so that way I just don't want people to think any less of me, or to think that, oh, she didn't get that one note right, she's not going to be any good. That's just me. Or like people just being catty. I don't like that. So yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very cyclical, that idea of bully culture almost kind of weaving into, which I don't know, is super unfortunate, I think, because it's real easy to type something when you don't have to see them face to face. It's real difficult to like be constructive and critique and be mean to someone's face. So
yeah, I feel like bullying, and like I guess because like when I was younger I was bullied, whatever, but I feel like getting older, it's like it doesn't. I don't see it. I also don't look out for it, so it probably does. But from my personal view, I don't see in-person bullying happening as much in like high school. But it's more of a virtual, like on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. It's always like even before the pandemic, like I never really noticed in-person bullying as much, except for when it was online. And yeah, with like online bullying, it's almost worse because it's like, how are you going to confront them in person when it's like they said it to me over text? Like, it's just, I don't like bullies. Bullies suck. Boo! Get them out. Electric chair. That's it.
It's like the ultimate game of virtual telephone too, where it's like, did you hear what they said about their post that
Did you
was
see
in
the
response
post? That just happened to me. Oh my god, just yesterday, my friend told me this girl made a post about them, and I was just like, oh, and like I didn't know what to say. I was like, oh no, like, cause I don't know what to do. I'm just like, man, that sucks. That's rude of them. Grr, fight them. Just kidding. Please don't physically fight anybody.
That's strongly worded emails.
Yeah, just walk up to them and be like,
I've noticed a shift, if you can say that, because like Caitlin, I didn't have any friends in elementary school. I was the nerdy kid. I read my history books in the back of the class. I sat by myself at lunch, and I was perfectly fine with it. And then in middle school, I learned if I could make jokes, people would like me. And when I had no friends, people would kind of make fun of me, and I was the weird kid. And I think maybe that still happens, but I'm sarcastic enough that I don't take it seriously, and then I make a joke about them as well. But when it comes to other people, I don't really see it, because I guess if you can say, now I just don't think people care enough about each other to bully each other or deal with a bully. I don't see it, you know? So if you look at like the old 1980s movies, you know, with
oh my god, yeah.
the jock and the head cheerleader, you know, bullying the nerdy guy who got an A on his test. It was like, yeah, no, that doesn't happen now. There's no popular kids at our school. And the quote-unquote popular kid, I love that this happened, because every like high school movie, the homecoming king is always like the quarterback. Our homecoming king was our theater kid.
Yes.
He was a
DJ!
theater kid.
Sorry.
He's in choir.
One of my good friends. Love you, DJ. Shout out. Sorry.
I don't think people really, I guess you could say, they don't care enough about each other to bully each other or take anything like that. I haven't really seen anything over social media either. And I guess if it is anything, I like never really see people call each other out. And whenever I do see it, it's like, oh, someone will make a post saying something, and then someone might think, oh, are they talking about me? And then that's how it gets all constricted, and it's like, oh, did you say this thing about me? And I'm like, no, it was about this person. But then gossip gets around.
When it's online, they never like, because I've seen posts firsthand. I have friends, which love them, that'll say, man, he's so dirty for what he did. And they'll be very vague about it. And I'm just like, who are you talking about? And then all these like men that they're friends with or something, they'll be like, I wonder if it's about me. And then it becomes this whole like confusion of, you didn't directly say it. And like, I almost, I don't know. It's just it's so much more confusing, and it's harder to be like confrontational when you don't even know most of the time, because people don't say, oh, Jennifer is so fat today. Like that doesn't like I don't know. But like
I apologize to any Jennifers watching.
Like
Jennifer, if you're watching, you are beautiful. You are fantastic. You are wonderful. Keep killing it, girl.
Literally. But yeah.
Thanks, man. But I mean, I think vague booking is very much like a thing, like, because it takes away that interpersonal relation, like that interpersonal dynamic of communicating. I don't have to see the other person speaking. Like, I don't have to see the other person, which is I think dangerous sometimes too. I remember early on, this was before emojis were as good as they were now, but talking about the nonverbal components of social media and being like, there's so many different ways to interpret things. Like, you don't know just based off of the words themselves. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? You lose so much of that nonverbal communication piece of it. But I think there's a lot of good that can come from it too. You know what I mean? Like, it's good to be aware and be responsible of your social media. But I think if we just got rid of it all, we wouldn't have amazing things out there. Like Bailey's Quarantine Theater.
Yeah.
So
I'm grateful for meeting up with people over like Snapchat, like being able to communicate with people because of social media. So yeah, I'm so grateful that it's such a big part of, our generation's lives that we can just Snapchat somebody if we want to talk or, stuff like that. It's much more easily accessible, especially now that we can't see people in person. Well, without 6 feet, but it's easier. It's almost like it's like a lazier way to do it, like before quarantine, but it's like much more easier to do, like more convenient.
Like, imagine going through quarantine like this and then not being able to talk to anyone. Like, using like carrier pigeons and the Pony Express to get your messages to other people, but then you gotta wait like 2 weeks to get it back.
But that's the thing though, like, you have to think about that piece of, it's unimaginable now, but people did it. Like, people used to, like, I think back to, I just got done reading a book called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which, that's a whole nother episode. We'll talk about that and my feelings of contempt for it. But that time, I mean, they didn't have radios. They didn't have laptops. They didn't have anything. Like, how do you occupy your time to read and
You start
go to
war.
ball?
You start a war.
I'm not going to start a war
Pew 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 pew.
unless you don't go and listen to the ramblings from the director on all the various sources. Watch us on YouTube. Go vote for Bailey on Broadway. Oh gosh, BroadwayWorld.com. There it is. I found it. Then I will start a war of words, not violence. Spread love, not war.
Make love, not war. That was the quote. It's make love, not war.
Now I have to pay for the rights to it, Finn. Thanks. That's why I messed it up on purpose.
Play that song. Play that song. Play either Make Love Not War or Give Peace a Chance.
No. No. This has been ramblings from the director, y'all. Make sure to stick around if you're listening. We have that exclusive Big Sister segment coming up on the audio version only of the podcast. And we'll do that here. Bailey, is there anything you want to kind of say to close us out?
Yes. I just want everyone to remember that this is only an intermission and that we will all be back soon. And to follow my Instagram at Bailey Sings Broadway.
Love it. Love it. And we'll link that in the description. And we'll link all the things too. Yeah, Bailey, thank you so much for joining us on this video cast. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And thank you for spreading smiles. I mean, that's, I think, the cool thing about the whole quarantine theater is just the amount of smiles you've been able to spread across the country and across the world in a time when it was really needed. So,
thank you guys so much. This has been so fun.
Cool. Finn, Kaylin, you got anything before we sign off?
I started a film review YouTube channel. Go follow it, Fair Films Film Review. The first video is coming out sometime. And yeah, it's going to be every single Ice Age movie, because that's what I've done with my time over the past week. I've watched.
Yeah.
Oh.
Apparently, there's 8. There's like 8 different Ice Age movies. I watched all of them. So go follow that.
Is wow.
Go follow Fair Films Official and Fair Films Film Review on YouTube and Instagram.
We'll edit it out to where it just sounds like Finn is saying I watched all 8 Ice Age movies with no context. That's
There's
the
like
plan.
5 main. There's like 5 main and then 3 spin-offs. And
God.
only like 2 of them are good.
Oh my god.
Oh dear. Caitlin, any final words?
Huh?
You got a
Oh,
recital next week.
I do. I have a recital next Friday at 5 o'clock. It's so messy. Everything's just messy. Thanks, quarantine. It's on Facebook. It's on a Facebook page called City Voices. It should be on Instagram Live too. I'm gonna be singing some songs. Still don't know, which isn't good because I have less than a week. But you should check that out if you have nothing to do next Friday at like
I really
5 o'clock.
I really hope Mrs. Sims isn't watching.
I mean, everything's perfectly planned. We've had this in the works for a month. It's perfect. Everything's great. Like, I swear, there's nothing to worry about.
You're doing that thing with your voice
Where it's going up at the end.
when your voice is really high, and then
What are you
you're doing that
talking
thing.
about?
Exactly.
Like this? Oh my god.
When you
this
know
is how
everything's
I
not fun.
talk.
Okay, thank you for coming to Ramblings of the Director. Thank you, Bailey, so much for coming and
Thank
being
you.
on our podcast.
Stick around for the
Round
Big
of
Sister
applause.
segment. If you're
Stick
listening
around.
to this, if you're
And
watching
Caitlin,
this, we're done.
go wash your hands.
We're done.
Wash your hands.
Wash your
Me?
hands.
I
Wa-
want you to get up right now. Get
Go
some
wash your
water.
hands.
Soap.
Bye, y'all. Bye.